Hey Jixateers, thanks for stopping by again. If you're here for the first time, my name is Riley and I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I make videos about what it was like being raised as a JW and how that whole experience has impacted my life and the challenges that I'm trying to overcome in moving on with my life and, get over some of the negative aspects that come with being a Jehovah's Witness. It's my hope that the videos I make will help others in a similar position, people who are thinking about leaving the organization or who have already left the organization. I hope that through sharing my experience, it will also help them. So that's who I am, and that's what my channel is about. I've decided that I want to try and make a series of videos that are a little bit more light-hearted. I'm a serious person by nature. I love to laugh, don't get me wrong, but my nature is to lean more towards being very, very serious, sometimes even overly serious. But I have in recent years learned that humor is a very, very powerful and positive thing. Even when you're dealing with the most traumatic of experiences, there is some benefit in looking at those experiences through, a light-hearted lens, so to speak. So that's what I want to try and do. So this first video in that series of JW stories is going to be about racism, racism in the Jehovah's Witness organization. So first off, I want to say that I have never really experienced racism in the Jehovah's Witness organization. My own personal opinion is that it doesn't really exist in the organization at a systemic level. Now, I'm not trying to deny or undermine experiences of others that are to the contrary. Okay? I'm not saying that there are no Jehovah's Witnesses who are racist. I'm not saying that by any means at all. I've seen a lot of videos addressing this subject, and clearly there are. What I'm saying is that I've seen nothing in my personal experience that lead me to believe that it exists at a systemic level in the organization. I know that in the past, definitely, if you read some of the writings of Charles Taze Russell and Jumping Judge Rutherford, it's obvious that they had some very, very extreme opinions that have not stood the test of time where race is concerned. Yeah, that's absolutely the case in the past, but in more modern times and recent times, like I said, I personally haven't seen any evidence of systemic racism in Jehovah's Witnesses. And I haven't actually experienced racism on a personal level with individual witnesses either. However, there was this one time when I was a teenager. So it was the second congregation that I'd ever been in. This congregation was formed when I was about 12, I think. Yeah. So there was a few. I mean, the occasion I'm talking about happened when I was about 13 or 14. Okay, so I was a young teenager, and in this congregation there were only a few young men around that age. So we were all really, really good friends. There was me, my brother, my best friend, another really, really good friend who's still a good friend of mine today, and his younger brother. So there were the five of us, and we were just like, we just did everything together. We went everywhere together. We were always together. Okay, because we were the only kids in our congregation of roughly that same age. Everyone else was either older or younger. So I had a couple of like minor responsibilities in the congregation at this time, and I worked along with a ministerial servant on the literature counter. So there was one meeting. It was during a circuit overseer's visit, And this was a new circuit overseer. It was the first time he'd come to our congregation. Oh, if you've never been a Jehovah's Witness and you're not familiar with that term, a circuit overseer is much like an area manager. So he visits all the congregations in a particular circuit. Over the course of about 3 years, it will be at a different congregation each week. And this week was our turn. So as I said, he was a brand new circuit overseer. He'd recently been assigned to England from Northern Ireland. And he had some really, really interesting stories to tell. Some really on the edge of your seat stuff about sectarian violence in Northern Ireland shortly after the Troubles, as it's referred to. So sectarian violence between Catholics and Protestants. And he had loads of stories about people getting kneecapped and stuff like that. And how if you were a Jehovah's Witness during that really violent time period in Northern Ireland, it was a real protection because you were respected by both sides. So if witnesses during that time proudly identified themselves as witnesses, because it means that they were it gave them a sort of like immunity from the violence. So the Protestants respected them because they weren't Catholics, and then the Catholics respected them because they weren't Protestants. Yeah, so he had a lot of stories to tell about that. So after the meeting, I was on the literature counter doing my little job, and my friends, we all used to walk home together. So my friends were like gathered around the literature counter waiting for me to finish so that we could all, walk home together. And often we'd do fun things on the way home, like go to the sweet shop or go to the chip shop or stuff like that. So they were waiting for me. And then so it's customary for the circuit overseer at the end of his talk, at the end of the meeting, to like go around and introduce himself to different members of the congregation and and have a chat with them. So he looked over to the literature counter and saw us, grouped together. And I guess he felt obliged to come and speak to us. He didn't want to, ignore us or whatever. So he came over, and as soon as he started walking towards us, I could just see the fear. I could see the fear in this man's face. He felt really, really intimidated by these 5 young black teenage boys. I could just tell it from a mile off. He approached us with a lot of trepidation, and he was really, really nervous and uncomfortable. So he introduced himself and started trying to make conversation. I'm sorry, I'm laughing so much. I remember it as if it was yesterday. So yeah, he started talking to us, and he was so nervous. He was so uncomfortable. It's like he was expecting us to just mug him or something. So he starts talking, and then, believe it or not, this is no word of a lie, he starts making black jokes, right? He starts making black jokes, and I can't remember exact word for word what he said, but there was one time where he said that he was like looking forward to the summer so that he could work on his tan, and then he holds up his wrist like that, and he goes, "Oh, but I've got a long way to go before I'm anywhere near you guys." And then at one point he referred to us as a gang, something like a nice gang of young boys or something like that. And in the strictest sense of the word, he was being racist. I can't deny that in the strictest sense of the word. But me personally, I'm reluctant to brand somebody as a racist unless there's some kind of malicious intent behind what they're doing or saying. Anything other than that, I will put down to ignorance or discomfort or whatever. Mostly ignorance, I guess, because it's obvious that he hadn't been around black people much, if at all. It wouldn't surprise me if we were the very, very first black people that he's ever met in his life, the way he was acting. So, like I said, in the strictest sense of the word, he was being racist, but I don't consider him as a racist person. I just think he was ignorant and extremely uncomfortable and nervous. I don't think that there was any malicious intent on his part. You know, he was just really, really uncomfortable. You know, like how when people are uncomfortable about something, they overcompensate. They pretend to be extra comfortable to a point where all it does is just show up how uncomfortable they are. You know, like the young girl who wants to look older, so she dresses older, but all it does is it shows up how immature and young she is. Or the reverse, where somebody, you know, a man or a woman is old, but they want to look young, so they dress young and act young, and all it does is show up their advanced age. You know, that's exactly what he was doing. He was extremely uncomfortable, so he overcompensated by acting so comfortable with the fact that we were black that he just, you know, he just said a lot of inappropriate things, and all it did was show himself up to be so uncomfortable. Yeah, but I honestly don't think he had any malicious intent. Looking back on the whole thing now, if I could go back and relive that moment, I would have just said to him, look, brother, just relax. Just relax, okay? We are young black boys, yeah, but you don't have to talk to us about us being young black boys. Just talk to us how you would talk to anybody else, you know. Talk to us about football. Ask us how we're doing in school. You know, just relax. We're not going to mug you in the back of the Kingdom Hall. We're not going to beat you up and take your lunch money. If I could go back, that's what I would have said to him. Yeah, and you know, hopefully that would have made him laugh and put him at ease. But yeah, as it happened, I didn't say anything. I was just like, you know. But yeah, that's the only time that I've experienced anything in the organization remotely racist. And as I said before, I don't consider it to be really, really racist. He was just, you know, ignorant and uncomfortable. Yeah, so I'd love to hear from you guys if you experienced any kind of racism in the organization, whether you believe it was on an individual personal level or at a systemic level. I'd love to hear about it, because I understand that my experience may not be typical of most other people. People may have experiences that are just way worse than that. I mean, I look at that and, as you can tell, I find it extremely funny. You know, I wasn't offended by it at all. I'm still not. I just see it as something very, very comical. Yeah, but I'd love to hear about, you know, your own experiences. So please feel free to drop them in the comments below. And yeah, let me know if you appreciate these kind of light-hearted, comical videos about stories, you know, experiences that I've had while I was a Jehovah's Witness. Okay, so thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.